In the heart of South Park Mall in Charlotte, North Carolina, 12-year-old Amaya Richardson stood in the brightly lit sneaker aisle of Dick's Sporting Goods, surrounded by the familiar buzz of weekend shoppers. The air smelled of fresh rubber and popcorn from the nearby food court. Amaya, with her braided hair pulled into a neat high bun and a simple gray t-shirt that Dream Big, held up a box of new Nikes like they were treasure. Her best friend Kaylin leaned in close, both girls laughing about school drama and the latest basketball shoes. "My mom's not picking me up until she's done at Fort Bragg," Amaya said, casually flipping the lid of the shoebox shut. "She's in Special Forces, so sometimes her schedule gets really crazy." Caitlin's eyes widened with genuine admiration. "For real, like actually fighting and everything." "That's so cool, Amaya." Amaya smiled with quiet pride. "Yeah, she's Sergeant Major Nicole Richardson. She just got back from a mission overseas. She's the strongest person I know." What should have been nothing more than a proud daughter sharing a piece of her world quickly turned sour. A sharp, dismissive laugh cut through the casual mall noise like a knife. Standing just a few feet away, flipping through a rack of Carolina Panthers hoodies, was Officer Colton Reeves, off duty, but still wearing his badge clipped prominently to his belt. He looked like any other weekend shopper in his jeans and team t-shirt, but his laugh was anything but friendly. "Special Forces," Reeves repeated loudly, shaking his head with a grin that didn't reach his eyes. "Come on, kid. I've been in law enforcement for 18 years. I've seen it all. There's no way your mom is running with the Green Berets, or Delta Force especially. Not someone like her." The words landed heavy. Amaya's smile faded instantly. Shoppers nearby began to slow down, pretending to browse but clearly listening. A mother with a toddler in her cart lingered by the socks. Two teenagers pulled out their phones. The innocent moment had become a spectacle. Reeves stepped closer, his voice carrying across the aisle with the kind of authority that cops often carry, even when they're not on duty. "Look, sweetheart, I get it, kids like to make their parents sound like superheroes. It's cute, but Special Forces, that's serious work, grueling training, real sacrifice, putting your life on the line for this country every single day. It's not the kind of thing you just casually claim." Amaya felt heat rising in her cheeks. She stood frozen, the Nike box suddenly feeling heavy in her hands. She thought about her mom's strong hands, the rows of medals displayed carefully at home, the late-night calls from overseas where Nicole would whisper, "I love you, baby. Stay strong for me." Those weren't stories. They were real, but Reeves wasn't finished. He leaned against the display rack, arms crossed, addressing not just Amaya, but the small crowd that had gathered. "I respect our military more than most people. I work with veterans every week, but let's be honest here. There are real heroes out there protecting our freedoms, and inventing tales like this, it disrespects the real men and women who serve." His words carried an ugly undertone that many in the store recognized, doubt rooted in prejudice. Amaya was a young black girl, proudly speaking about her black mother's service, and this officer, a man sworn to protect and serve all Americans, was openly mocking her. Tears welled up in Amaya's eyes, but she blinked them back hard. Her voice came out small but steady. "You don't know anything about her." Reeves chuckled again, louder, this time as if her defiance amused him. "Fairy tales, kid. That's all it is if your mom's really Special Forces. Maybe she'll show up and prove me wrong. Until then, maybe stick to talking about sneakers, instead of making up stories about heroes." The humiliation burned deep. Amaya's hands trembled as she pushed the shoebox back onto the shelf. Around her, the mall continued its normal rhythm, but in that aisle something important was happening. A young girl learning how quickly pride in family, especially a black woman's service to her country, could be dismissed by someone in a position of authority. Yet even in that painful moment, Amaya stood a little taller, her mother's quiet strength already living inside her. The silence after Officer Reeves' mocking words felt heavier than the thick summer. Here outside the mall, Amaya stood there in the sneaker aisle, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. The bright fluorescent lights suddenly felt too harsh, and the cheerful mall music in the background seemed completely out of place. She could feel the eyes of strangers on her, some curious, some uncomfortable, a few even pulling out their phones to record what was happening. At just 12 years old, she never imagined having to defend her mother's honor in public. Like this, Reeves leaned casually against the rack of hoodies. Arms still crossed, that smug look never leaving his face. As a police officer, he was supposed to be someone the community could trust, someone who protected people and stood up for what was right. But in this moment, his badge seemed to mean something different. He kept talking, his voice loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. "Tell you what, kid," he said with a chuckle, "if your mom really is Special Forces and she walks in here in uniform, I'll buy you those Nikes myself. But we both know that's not happening. I work with veterans every single week. I know what real service looks like. Making up stories like this doesn't honor our troops. It actually disrespects the men and women who put on that uniform every day and sacrifice for this great country." Amaya's eyes stung with tears she refused to let fall. She thought about her mother, Sergeant Major Nicole Richardson, a black woman who had broken barriers in the U.S. Army, who had trained harder than most people could imagine, who had left home for months at a time to serve her nation. Her mom had told her many times, "Baby, when people doubt you, stand tall. Your truth is stronger than their words." Those lessons felt very real right now. "I'm not lying," Amaya said, her voice small at first but growing steadier. She wiped her eyes quickly with the back of her hand. "My mom is a sergeant major. She's earned every medal on her chest. She protects this country so people like you can stand here and say whatever you want." Kaylin stood beside her, looking nervous but loyal. "Yeah, she's not making it up," her friend added quietly. "I've seen pictures. Her mom has the uniform and everything." Reeves raised an eyebrow, clearly amused by the girl's defiance. "Pictures? Anyone can get a uniform. I've been on the job long enough to know when someone's spinning a tale. Sweetheart, there's nothing wrong with being proud of your mom, but claiming she's in Special Forces, that's a big leap. Real cops and real soldiers deal with real danger every day. We don't need kids turning it into fairy tales." The words hurt. Amaya felt a deep ache in her chest, not just embarrassment, but something closer to anger. She had seen the toll her mother's service took. The missed birthdays, the worried nights, the way Nicole hugged her extra tight whenever she came home. Black women in uniform carried an extra weight, fighting for a country that didn't always see their full worth, yet still showing up with courage and excellence. Her mom was living proof of that strength. "You don't know her," Amaya said again. Louder this time, her small hands clenched into fists at her sides. "She's one of the best at what she does. She trains soldiers, she leads missions. And she does it all while being an amazing mom. Just because you can't imagine, it doesn't mean it's not true." A few shoppers nearby nodded quietly. One older black woman, shopping with her granddaughter, gave Amaya a small, encouraging smile. The moment carried a powerful lesson about respecting those who serve, about not letting stereotypes cloud our judgment, and about the quiet dignity it takes to stand up when someone in authority tries to tear you down. Reeves shook his head, still smiling, like he was enjoying the exchange. "All right then, I'll wait right here. Let's see if this Special Forces mom of yours shows up. But kid, when she doesn't, maybe you'll learn that honesty matters more than a good story." Amaya didn't back down. Even as tears threatened to spill, she lifted her chin and held her ground, drawing strength from the powerful example her mother had set. Every single day of her life, the tension in the sneaker aisle had grown so thick that even the distant music seemed to fade into the background. Amaya stood her ground, heart racing, her small frame trembling but unbroken. Officer Colton Reeves leaned against the display with that same arrogant smile, clearly convinced he had won this little showdown. Shoppers lingered nearby, some whispering, others openly watching what had become an uncomfortable public spectacle. In that moment, the weight of doubt, prejudice, and authority pressed heavily on a 12-year-old girl who simply wanted to be proud of her mother. Then the sound of steady, confident boots echoed across the polished tile floor. Heads turned as Sergeant Major Nicole Richardson strode into the store, still in her full U.S. Army uniform. After leaving a ceremony at Fort Bragg, her camouflage was crisp, her patches and rank insignia clearly visible, and her posture carried the quiet power of someone who had earned every ounce of respect. Through years of service, she had come to surprise her daughter. Never expecting to walk into this scene, Mama Maya's voice cracked with overwhelming relief. As she ran to her mother, Nicole immediately wrapped a protective arm around her daughter's shoulders. Pulling her close, the contrast was striking. The strong, composed black woman in uniform standing tall beside her vulnerable but brave child. Nicole's eyes locked directly onto Officer Reeves. Her voice was calm, but carried the weight of authority earned through real sacrifice. "Is there a problem here?" Officer Reeves' smug expression faltered instantly. He straightened up, his eyes widening as he took in the Sergeant Major's uniform. The medals, the unmistakable presence of a leader who had served her country with distinction. "Ma'am, I was just..." Nicole didn't let him finish. "You were just mocking my 12-year-old daughter in front of strangers. You laughed at her for telling the truth about her mother serving in special forces. You told her she was making up fairy tales because you couldn't imagine a black woman like me earning this uniform." Her words landed with quiet force. The store had gone nearly silent. Nicole continued, her voice steady and powerful, the kind of voice shaped by leading soldiers in difficult missions and raising a daughter with strong values. "I have served this nation for 16 years. I've trained with the best, deployed overseas, and carried the responsibility of protecting American freedoms, the same freedoms that allow you to wear that badge. Black women in uniform have always had to work twice as hard to prove they belong, yet we show up every single day for this country we love." Reeves shifted uncomfortably, his earlier confidence gone. "I didn't mean any disrespect, Sergeant Major. It was just kids say things and I..." Nicole gently squeezed Amaya's shoulder while addressing him. "Disrespecting a child's truth is disrespecting the families who serve. My daughter has watched me leave for months at a time, missing holidays and school events because I believe in something bigger than myself. She has every right to be proud. And you as a police officer have a duty to build trust in this community, not tear it down with doubt and laughter." The lesson hung in the air for everyone watching. Cops and military families both wear uniforms and swear to protect America. But true strength comes from respect, humility, and understanding. Black women like Nicole represent the very best of service resilience, excellence, and quiet dignity. In the face of skepticism, Amaya looked up at her mother with shining eyes full of pride. Nicole smiled softly at her daughter. "You did good, baby." Standing up for what's true takes real courage. Never be ashamed of who we are, the sacrifices we make for this country. Reeves stood silent, visibly humbled. Several shoppers began to clap quietly. One older veteran in the back nodded with approval. The moment wasn't about revenge. It was about truth, respect, and the power of a mother's love combined with unwavering service. This story reminds every American that behind every uniform is a real person with real sacrifices. It shows us the importance of believing in our children, honoring those who serve, and holding ourselves to higher standards. Whether we wear a police badge or a military uniform, Black women in the armed forces continue to inspire us all with their strength and dedication. What did you think of this story? Have you or someone you know ever faced doubt about their service or their family's service? Drop a comment below and tell us which part moved you the most. And if you want to see more powerful, real-life inspired stories like this one, hit like, share, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next.